Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, there was a young king whose wife had recently given birth to a baby girl. The entire kingdom was overjoyed at the arrival of the princess. People celebrated for days with music, dancing, and fireworks. The king and the queen were so happy that they decided to hold a grand ball in the palace in honor of their newborn daughter. They invited all the nobles and their children from around the kingdom to come and celebrate. Everyone was excited to meet the new princess and to celebrate in style. When the day of the ball arrived, the palace was decorated with beautiful flowers and shimmering lights. There were long tables laden with delicious food and mountains of sweet cakes. And of course, there was a huge crib in the center of the room where the princess was placed, surrounded by her loyal guardians. As the nobles and their children entered the ballroom, they all rushed to see the princess. Some said she looked like the queen, while others thought she resembled the king. All the children present at the ball wanted to be the one to get chosen by the princess and become her close friend. They stood around her crib, waiting patiently for their turn to get picked. However, the princess didn't seem to be interested in making friends. She just lay there quietly, not making a sound. Time passed, and soon it was midnight. The party was coming to an end, and still, the princess hadn't chosen anyone. All the children, except for one, had left. A little boy named Theo was the last one standing by the princess's crib. He wasn't sad that he hadn't been chosen. He didn't want to be the princess's friend. Instead, he felt sorry for her because she seemed so lonely. Theo took a deep breath and slowly approached the princess. He gently lifted her up in his arms and started singing a soft lullaby. As he did, he noticed that the princess's eyes fluttered open and she looked at him with curiosity. "Hello," Theo said softly. "I'm here with you now. Don't be afraid. I won't let you feel alone." The princess stopped crying and looked at Theo with wonder. Just then, a royal advisor hurried over to them. "Your Highness," he exclaimed, "you must choose a companion. It is tradition that every princess must have a best friend from among the noble children. But I don't want to be friends with any of them," the princess said, her voice echoing through the hall. "I want to be friends with this kind boy who sang to me." The royal advisor was taken aback. "But he's not a prince or a lord," he stammered. "He's just a commoner." "That doesn't matter," the princess insisted. "I want Theo to be my best friend." The royal advisor was stunned. He had never heard a princess speak so boldly. "As you wish, Your Highness," he finally said, bowing his head in submission. He turned to Theo and said, "You are now officially the best friend of the princess. You may call me Master Aaron. What can I do for you?" "Thank you," Theo said, blushing with happiness. "But I don't need anything. I just want to play with the princess." And so, under Master Aaron's watchful eye, Theo and the princess spent the rest of the evening playing with each other. They laughed and joked around, and Theo even taught the princess how to walk. By the end of the night, they had become the best of friends. As the first rays of sunlight peeked through the windows, it was time for Theo to go home. The princess was sad to see him leave, but she knew that they would see each other again soon. "Come back soon, Theo," she called out to him. "I want to play again." "Of course," Theo replied with a smile. "I'll come back tomorrow." And with that, he waved goodbye to the princess and left the palace. From that day on, Theo became a regular visitor at the palace. He would spend hours playing with the princess, and they would have grand adventures together. One day, however, Theo noticed that the princess seemed unhappy. She was sitting by her window, staring out into the garden. "What's wrong, princess?" he asked, sitting down beside her. "Why aren't you playing?" "I'm bored," she sighed. "There's nothing to do in this palace. I wish we could go on an adventure." "Well, I know just the place," Theo said with a grin. He took the princess's hand and led her outside. They walked through the palace gardens and into the nearby forest. Theo had brought along some bread and cheese for them to eat, and they sat down on a nearby tree stump to enjoy their picnic lunch. As they ate, the princess told Theo about all the things she wanted to see in the world. "I want to travel to distant lands and meet new people," she said. "I want to see the ocean and the mountains. I want to experience everything there is to experience." "Then let's go on an adventure together," Theo said, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "We can travel the world and see everything together." The princess's face lit up with joy. "Really? You'd do that for me?" "Of course," Theo replied. "I'd do anything for you, my best friend." And so, with that, the two friends set off on their adventure. They traveled all over the kingdom, visiting faraway lands and meeting all sorts of interesting people. They saw the ocean and the mountains, and everything else the princess had wished for. Along their journey, they faced many obstacles, but they always worked together to overcome them. They helped each other through thick and thin, and their friendship grew stronger with each passing day. Finally, after many months of traveling, the princess and Theo decided to return home. They had seen so much and experienced so much that they were both eager to share their stories with everyone. When they arrived back at the palace, the king and queen were overjoyed to see them. They had missed their daughter so much and were glad that she was back home safe and sound. The princess ran to her parents and hugged them tightly. "I'm so glad to be home," she said, "but I already miss my adventures." The king and queen looked at each other and smiled. They knew that their daughter had grown up and was ready to see the world. "You can go on more adventures," the queen said. "But first, let's have a celebration in your honor." And so, once again, the palace was filled with music, dancing, and fireworks. The king and queen were so proud of their daughter and were glad that she had such a loyal friend in Theo. As the celebration came to an end, Theo knew it was time for him to say goodbye. The princess was sad to see him go, but she knew that their adventures were not over. "Come back soon, Theo," she said, her voice echoing through the empty ballroom. "I can't wait to hear about your next adventure." "Of course," Theo replied with a smile. "I'll be back as soon as I can." With that, he bowed to the princess and left the palace. As he walked away, he couldn't help but smile. He had made the princess happy, and that was all that mattered. From that day on, the princess and Theo continued to have grand adventures together. They explored the world, made new friends, and faced many challenges. Through it all, their friendship remained strong, and they never forgot their first adventure together. And that, my dear children, is the story of how a commoner boy became the best friend of a princess. Now it's time for bed. Remember, no matter who you are or where you come from, you can achieve anything if you set your mind to it. Sweet dreams. Please subscribe to our channel and give us a big thumbs up. Also, don't forget to share this video with your friends and family. We'll see you next time.